All right, what is going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Big thank you to everyone out there, as always, for watching, for listening, following, subscribing. You guys are the best. I appreciate you very, very much. Today's episode is presented by Sunny Reds, 1841 Abbott Road, Lackawanna, just minutes away from Highmark Stadium. Some of the best wings, food, vibes that you're going to get anywhere in Western New York. If you happen to be in that area, make sure you go and check them out. This is our Thursday episode, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to pull it back up if you're watching on the video side. One more time, the graphic. It really does say it all. I am joined by my buddy from the Buffalo Sports Collective, PK. We're about a week or so out now, actually a little bit less when this drops from Christmas. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. We're officially moved in. Everything
Awesome.
moved over on Saturday. There's still tons of boxes and crap thrown everywhere, but we're officially no longer Niagara Falls residents. I couldn't be more happy.
And for everybody out there who's wondering, because we've talked about this on the show when you've been on your move from Niagara Falls, what area did you settle into?
I'm in Pendleton. I can see Wheatfield literally from my window right now because it's across the street. But yeah, we're out of Niagara Falls. I spent 7.5 years there. I'm good if I don't go back anytime soon.
Way cool, good vibes, and forewarning, that's about to end. I want to start, before we jump into anything else, I kind of got a small list of apologies that I want to issue to a handful of people, a lot of people, actually. First and foremost, I want to apologize to Buffalo Bills fans. I know that this is called Talking Buffalo. We talk Buffalo sports and other things, but, I'm not naive. Primarily, the vast majority of people who watch this show and listen to this show regularly are big Buffalo Bills fans, and that's what they want to hear. 9 out of 10 times, we got pretty solid Bills coverage. At least I like to think so on this show. So I apologize to you today. This is not a Buffalo Bills episode. We may get into a little bit of Bills talk much later in the episode. What I will do on the video side, if we do, is I will make chapters on the video side. So if you don't like the Sabres, and a lot of people don't, you can hit that chapter and you could skip all that. If you listen on the audio side, just start hitting that 15-second button like crazy. You may or may not get some Bills talk, but I want to apologize for that. I want to apologize to Buffalo Sabres fans and media who cover the team, and especially content creators. If you follow me on social media, especially on Twitter X, I have really been getting after not just the team at this point, but my frustration has extended to fans who continue to watch them, and also the media people who cover them. It has been a very salty handful of days when it comes to me and several people. I'll get a little more into that later in the episode. So I want to apologize to them. I want to apologize to Don Granato for thinking that he was the big problem with this hockey team and that his dismissal last summer was going to lead to significant change. So I apologize to you, Don, if you happen to be listening to this. I apologize to Lindy Ruff, because I don't think that man, a Buffalo icon here in the Buffalo sports community, had any real clue of what he truly was in store for. And last but not least here, I want to apologize to my co-host on this show today, PK from the Buffalo Sports Collective. I am making you part of, whether you want to be or not, an absolute Buffalo Sabres organizational burial on this show. We're a week out from Christmas. My guy just moved into his new home. We should be celebrating a huge Bills win last Sunday still. We should be talking about a team that is, and we will, by the way, I will have a Bills Patriots full preview episode, bowl predictions, all that stuff back tomorrow. But we should be talking about that today. Just celebrating a team that has just been fantastic this year. We could be talking about the Buffalo Bandits, who are starting defense of their championship, looking to three-peat. You cover them very, very well. We could be talking about them. We could be talking about The University at Buffalo football team getting ready to go to a bowl game in the Bahamas. Sean Dolak, the first player in UB history to be a first-team All-American. We should be talking about some Christmas shopping, movies, just Christmas tales. Again, we're a week out from Christmas. But no, we ain't doing any of that shit today because we are talking about the Buffalo Sabres. PK, I'm at a point, I feel very comfortable saying this is literally the title of today's episode. I hate the Buffalo Sabres right now. I truly, truly do. And we'll kind of break it down in sections here, but I don't even know where to start with you. How frustrating is it for you as a content creator and also a fan of the team and, a native of Western New Yorker to sit here year after year after year and now this season, what we've seen to this point and have to go through this shit, man? How frustrated are you right now?
I mean, I think I've said it on your show. I've said it on my show multiple times. I was a Sabres fan before I was ever a Buffalo Bills fan, before I was ever a Buffalo Bandits fan. Like the Sabres were the number one, and they've remained in that spot as much as I don't want them to be pretty much my entire life. I stupidly came on this show and I said I was happy. I was excited for this season. We went over some bold predictions on the show, went over it on my show. I just fooled again. And I'm officially saying it. I'm not being fooled again. Like I'm completely over with this team. I'm pretty much where you are. You might be a tad further past the level I'm at, but I can't get to that point anymore. Like on our show, even like 2 or 3 episodes ago, I was actually ranting and raving, and I can't even get myself to get to that point because that means I care. That means that they're getting some of my attention and some of my passion that they truly just do not deserve anymore. It's been so long, and it's just I know we're going to get into the content, but it's hard to find anything to talk about with the Buffalo Sabres that is anywhere remotely just not on repeat anymore. Like everything I'm saying sounds like it's been on repeat. You could listen to an episode from 3 years ago that we did, and it's probably the exact same stuff.
I am so happy that you ended your comments by saying that. Like it's regurgitated stuff at this point that we keep saying over and over, going back years. That's going to play into when I apologized earlier about content creators and stuff, what I said earlier, and kind of have to walk that back because look, I don't die on the hill. I have some good takes, some really dumb takes, and I'm not that guy who will die on the hill of everything he puts out there. Like if you prove me wrong, if you make me think about a take and I'm wrong, I will own it. I will admit it. But so I'm glad you said that. I want to get back to that. I'll say this, buddy. The days of Gilbert Perrault and the French Connection. I got this little, Sabres figurine thing on my desk. These days are dead, man. They're long gone here. I might as well just drop that. If it breaks, it breaks. I don't give a shit. You know what's ironic is, sorry, so we're recording this, by the way. I want to let people know. Recording this late in the day on Wednesday. As we record this, literally nothing has happened with the Buffalo Sabres. They're off on Wednesday, and literally jack shit has happened with this team. By the way, I might swear a little more than normal. Just letting people, forewarning you, if you happen to be listening to this at work and you got a boss around, you might not want to. Anyway, I was looking at notes from Buffalo Bills practice on Wednesday, and something kind of like innocent really struck me. Deion Dawkins was asked because of Josh Allen being with Haley Steinfeld and just the vibe with him. And he just, does she have anything to do with the run that Josh Allen has been on? And he just said that everything around Josh right now, the girl, the teammates, his success, all that stuff, it's just fun. He says he's having fun again. He's having fun playing. And I do not feel sorry for these players whatsoever. Or Lindy, I do feel sorry for Lindy. But outside of him, I don't feel sorry for anyone else. But it got me thinking right away, this cannot be fun for this team. Being a professional athlete, PK, is a privilege that very few people get to do. Millions of us grow up like you and I, I'm sure, whether it's skating or playing football, baseball, whatever it is that we did, you always dream of as a little kid making it to the highest level. You get there and it's an awesome life in a lot of ways. Riches, fame, popularity, you get to do what you love. I can't imagine, before we get into anything else right now, I can't imagine that the Sabres are waking up like on a day like today and saying, man, I'm blessed. I'm charmed. This is fun. I can't wait to get to the rink. I can't wait to get to work. Like the Bills are having fun right now. The Sabres, no fun. Like this must be an absolute miserable, and not just when the cameras are on and they got to say what they got to say to show you that they're frustrated. Like I'd be willing to bet these are just a bunch of miserable people right now in this organization.
Yeah, I mean, I play co-ed soccer and we lose and it bugs the hell out of me. And that's watched by a couple parents that might show up to a game. I mean, I can't imagine being a professional athlete, especially in the Buffalo Sabres, going on social media and seeing them get ripped to shreds. And mind you, as long as it's not personal attacks, everything that people are saying is pretty much on them. They're doing this to themselves. But yeah, I mean, on an 11 game losing streak, we said it on our show, maybe like 5 or 6 games into this losing streak. The longer this goes on, the more pressure is going to be on these players to break that streak. And it's going to be harder and harder. So just, it's got to be miserable. Like you said, just around Buffalo, where it's such a close knit group. And everybody pretty much knows, okay, if Alex Tuck's living in my neighborhood, I know exactly where he is. He's walking his dog one day. He's probably going to be feeling all these eyes are staring at me walking down the street thinking, oh man, I'm a giant loser. I'm on an 11 game losing streak. Just going on Twitter or Facebook or seeing any comments in any comment section, it's got to be really rough to be a Buffalo Sabre right now. And I'm not absolving them. I'm not feeling bad for them whatsoever. Right. But yeah, it's got to stink. I mean, I hate losing just on something that means literally nothing. They're getting paid millions of dollars to be in a league that they work their entire life for, and they're finding zero success their entire Buffalo Sabres career. It's got to stink. But I can only absolve them so much.
They deserve it. They deserve it. Look, my boiling point for me to do this show came in. I pay attention to numbers, okay? I pay attention to trends and stuff. That's part of the responsibility of having a podcast. I know damn well that if I put up a Sabres thumbnail on YouTube and I have a Sabres theme title and we have a Sabres theme, Sabres-centric episode, the numbers ain't going to be there like they would be with the Bills. But I have to get it off my chest because I'm just sick of it. And I think what happened Tuesday night in Montreal was the final straw for me. This is at the point where I said, fuck it, I don't even care anymore because it was disgraceful for that team to come out and play like they did after it was widely reported that Terry Pegula comes to Montreal on Monday. He's meeting with the players. Now, this was not made public by the team, but lots of credible people have reported that Terry Pegula met with the team, expressed confidence in the players, met with Kevin Adams, and said that the solution for this is in the room. It's not outside of the room. It's inside of the room. So you got your fucking absentee owner who never comes. It seems like anyway, we don't hear about it. We don't see it, that he's ever even around this team much. He's around all Bills games and all that stuff. But the owner shows up. He not only shows up, he goes on the road to Montreal, gives you this pep talk or whatever the hell it is. And then they go out and they literally look like they freaking quit on Tuesday night. An absolute disgraceful, disgusting effort by the Sabres against the Montreal Canadiens, the only team in the Eastern Conference prior to Tuesday night that was actually worse than the Sabres in the standings. They didn't just lose, they got humiliated. Montreal's beat them now 2 straight games, by the way. This team, the Sabres, freaking stink, okay? They stink. They are dead last. We are a week out from Christmas. They not too long ago went 3-0 in California without Tage Thompson, sitting there in a playoff spot. Now they are dead ass last in the entire Eastern Conference. Terry Pegula is embarrassing. I'll get to him in a second. And what's he going to do? It's been out there what he talked about and the confidence and the solutions in the room. He would look like an idiot if he would look even dumber than he already is if he were to fire Kevin Adams today, right after that. I feel like at a minimum, there's probably 3 to 5 more losses on the table before that even gets to that point. I'd also be willing to bet internally that this fucking team probably chalks up this losing streak to Rasmus Dahlin being out. Now, Dahlin would make them better. He'd be a boost for sure, but he ain't got nothing to do, PK, with the bigger picture. But anyway, man, again, Pegula comes here, he talks to the team, they go out, they shit the bed, they piss down their leg, they embarrass themselves, they quit. The head coach has no answers. You hear the same bullshit in the locker room from Tuck. and the players that actually do talk to the media after the game, they fucking quit. They quit, and they deserve all the wrath that they're getting today, and they ain't doing shit about it either, man. How frustrating to you, just that one game, forget the streak, to go out and play like they did against Montreal when you know you're in the basement if you lose that game. You could hear it. I'm disgusted by this team.
Yeah, it's almost like Terry Pegula wants a round of applause for something. He owns the team. Like, what do you expect? Like, I don't need. I'm one of those ones, and maybe I'm insane for saying this. I'm not one that needs him to talk to the media. I don't care if he talks to the media. He's done it before, and he's a blabbering doofus in front of the media, and he doesn't say anything. Like everything that you're hearing Kevin Adams say, it's pretty much a better PR stunt of what Terry Pegula would say. So I don't even need him to talk to the media. You're not going to learn anything from him. I think it would be better if he was held accountable and he's talking maybe every 6 months to the media, even if it's just a one-on-one interview with somebody. So his voice is at least out there. So we at least know, okay, maybe you still do care about this team. But right now, nothing you're showing gives any fans any hope. And I've said it for 3 some odd years, and I've said it well before I even had a podcast. If people and content creators are just lighting up your franchise like we're doing right now, you should be happy about that because it means you still care about the organization. When everything goes silent is when you need to be worried. And they're either on the verge of it or they're already well past it. Like on our podcast, I created a bingo board for something to talk about so we can check things off when things happen, because I don't even want to talk about the games. Like I know they still have to be on their show because we got to talk about them, but we're trying to find random ways to keep the Sabres on the show. And it's pathetic. Like I don't, if I'm Terry Pegula and I have any sense of what just happened, how do you not make any kind of move? That is the biggest slap in the face as an owner of a franchise, to see the players that you went in there and you talked to and said, hey, fully believe in everything that's going on right now. I'm not interested in adding any pieces to here. I fully believe everything that's going on in this locker room is in the right direction. And they go out there and they lose 6-1 and they get scored on 20 seconds into the game. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what is going on? I had to go tell my wife afterwards. I'm not watching the game or anything. I'm watching something else on TV and I see the final score and it's 6-1. I had to go in and let my wife know, hey, this whole thing happened because she doesn't follow the Sabres. I went, Terry Pegula Monday went and talked to the organization, said, I believe in everything. Guess what just happened? She goes, oh, they probably won. Nope. 6-1 loss. Like, it was pathetic. Like,
it's graceful.
I don't get it. I honestly don't know how he can, even if something's coming down the line, how do you, as a person that owns a franchise like this, can look at it, even if you don't care? You're a laughing stock of the entire sports era, like everywhere around there, not just hockey, but like everywhere. You're a joke of an owner. The playoff drought is worse than the Jets because what was it? COVID year, 26 or 28 teams made the playoffs. You were not one of them. Like it's pathetic how bad you have to actively try not to make the playoffs. And that's exactly, I don't know what else to say about Terry Pegula because I don't even need him to talk. I am at a loss for what to do moving forward because it's such a joke of an organization and it's been that way since he took over. And I see no daylight at the end. This is the first time I can actually say I don't see any kind of daylight out of this.
Well, I'm with you in that I don't need him to sit down and talk to the media, at least not regularly. I would like to see him do it at least once. So I would like to hear out of the horse's fucking mouth, what he's thinking about this team and it not being acceptable, or maybe it is acceptable to him and he just truly doesn't really give a shit that much. I don't know at this point, but I feel like this. I'm going to absolve Lindy Ruff because I know Lindy Ruff has a good track record. I know he's a good hockey coach, okay? This is not his mess, and I think he's doing his best. Again, I said it at the beginning. I just think Lindy Ruff didn't realize what he got himself into when he signed on for this team. Who's to blame him? Because 2 years ago, the team almost made the playoffs. So I could see from his standpoint why he could be like, yeah, you know what? I think I can get this team to the next level. But you take him out of the mix, and it's every single level of this organization that is just fucking disastrous. And we will start with the owner because I do think it ultimately starts from the top. So I want to continue on Pegula right now because, look, he wants them to win. He's a big Sabres fan. He grew up a Sabres fan. There's no question about that. But to me, even though he's a fan, it still feels like the Sabres are his ugly, stepchild right now. Even when the Sabres were good, pre-Pegula, it was always the Bills. The Bills are always going to be the biggest team in town. But it felt like the Sabres had some fight for the admiration of fans. And of course, it's a lot easier to do when you're good. You go back and you look at these clips, the late 90s, the mid, 2005, 2007, around that time when they were really good, the parties in the plaza. We've talked about this on the show before. All that stuff. They had their own identity. It kind of felt like, yeah, it might be big brother, little brother, but the gap wasn't so much. Right now, it's like, Bills are everything, and the Sabres are nothing. And his actions kind of show for that as well, slashing all kinds of budget when it came to the scouting department. No president of hockey operations, which he clearly refuses to do. They have a ton of cap room. They rarely spend close to the cap. This is a team, again, you get Lindy Ruff, you'll take the next step. They're sitting there with what, $7.5 million right now of cap space. He has an inexperienced yes man, because make no mistake about it, Kevin Adams is a fucking yes man. Okay, that's what he is. That he could talk to every single day. That's why Kevin Adams is your GM. Like, he hires Lindy Ruff. Well, Lindy Ruff don't get to choose his own assistants, which is laughable. And I've talked to a couple media people, one on the record who says, well, Lindy wanted some of these guys. Other people off the record said, no, that's not the case at all. Lindy Ruff did not get to choose who his coaching staff is, just straight up, because that would have cost Terry even more money. And great, you got a scoreboard. Stick that up your ass, okay? Stick that up your ass. Stick the roof up your ass. The arena still looks like shit. The arena still feels like the experience of there still feels like shit. The place sucks. So, yes, we can talk about Adams, and we're going to in a few, but it really does come down to Terry Pegula, man. He's a fan of the team, but he's a lousy owner.
Yeah, he's way, way, way too hands-on. You shouldn't like I don't understand. I don't know how often owners talk to their GMs or just let their GMs do what they got to do. I don't know if this is just a specialty in Buffalo. I don't know if it's a common thing across the NHL and other sports. I have no idea. But he feels like somebody that is running a fantasy football team that sucks at it, and he does it all the time. And he thinks he's better than everybody else and knows better than everybody else, but is still trying to be free. Like, it's all the writings on the wall that he does not care about this organization. Like, he might claim that he's still a fan. Like, he might really want to win, but if you really want to win, wouldn't you be investing in the pieces that will help you get there? I mean, you're spending below the salary cap. You never do. You slashed all the budgets that haven't been really rehired since COVID went around. Like, all the resources that he said when he bought the team, like the number one goal, that same quote that goes around, number one goal of this franchise moving forward is to win a Stanley Cup. What have you done since buying the team originally that has shown anybody that you're willing to spend the money to put the resources in place to make this team a legit winner? Like, I don't think he has any clue. And thank God he got it right with Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, because if not, like, he's owning two franchises that are terrible. Like, he can't pick. He's very bad at trusting the right people. And people that are way better than me and know way better than me have done the behind the scenes work on finding out all this kind of stuff of people that, Russ Brandon, it goes back to all the way there. He puts his faith and trust in the wrong people. And I think with Kevin Adams, it's okay, I can control Kevin Adams. He's the yes man. He's in a position he should have never been in. And I gave him way too much credit in the offseason last year, and it's got egg on my face. But it's like he wants to be in control of it, but he doesn't want his name on it because he doesn't want the responsibility. He can go and blame Kevin Adams, like, this is Kevin Adams' team. I'm not the general manager. I'm hands off. But there's too many signs pointing to that he does not want to spend the money on this. And I think, honestly, maybe a lot of it is due to the stadium overruns. Like, I really think that's a big reason why he sold part of the team, to recoup a lot of the losses. Maybe he's not investing in the Sabres as much because he needs to recoup that money. And I know compared to the NFL, NHL is a drop in the well. Like, it does not cost nearly anywhere close to running an NFL franchise. But could this part of this be that he's unwilling to spend money on the Sabres until the stadium for the Buffalo Bills is built? I know that a lot of that is due to with KeyBank Center. He doesn't want to invest money in the KeyBank Center until the stadium was done, and then now he's got a new roof and a jumbotron and working on future things like that. But could some of this he's not investing because he doesn't want to, because he's got more priorities with the Buffalo Bills with their new stadium and all the flashy stuff over there?
When it comes to Kevin Adams, I don't know how I want to feel about him, because I think he's unquestionably the worst general manager in the history of the Buffalo Sabres right now. And I'm going to paint a case why in a second here. But how angry should I be at Kevin Adams for that? Because I used a term on social media over the weekend. I think it was after they lost to Washington, which kind of kicked off my feud with a lot of fans and some content creators here. I said, don't blame the clown for being a clown. And I'm not saying that in real life, Kevin Adams is a clown. He's not a clown human being. I'm sure he's a perfectly reasonably good human being. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good qualities to him. Okay. He's just not a general manager, and he had no business being a general manager. He's a clown. He's being a clown. That's not necessarily like saying, you're a clown in real life. I'm talking about from a hockey perspective. And if you're Kevin Adams and Terry Pegula wants to offer you one of 32 jobs in the world and give you a really nice, handsome salary,
where do I sign?
Are you going to fucking say no? So I don't blame Kevin Adams for that. And to me, again, if you're a disaster at a position, like I said, let's say we work at a company, PK, and I'm the manager, and I'm deciding between PK and Matt Warren and Joe from Queens and two other people, and I choose PK. This is the right guy for the job, and I hire you, and you fucking are terrible at your job. I kind of feel like that's more of a reflection on me than it is, so much necessarily on you. My judgment was wrong. I made a bad decision. I hurt the company. I'm the one who's responsible for it. So my level of venom for Kevin Adams, I'm not quite sure where I want to put it. I definitely think he really, truly is the worst general manager that this organization has ever seen, because for a lot of reasons, but one of them, part of being a general manager in hockey, in any sport, and probably in real life too, just again, using the real world company, business model. Part of being a GM is being a good salesperson. You need to convince others that this is where you want to be. This is where you're going to grow. This is where you're going to have success. Things might look like shit right now, but we're going to build. We're going to grow. We're going to be successful. A good general manager has to wear many hats. And one of those hats is being a fucking salesperson. And I keep going back and back and back to Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart, man. You got two franchise caliber player cornerstone pieces, not to mention Rasmus Dahlin. You got all these guys on this team. And if the general manager and his group that, he manages, you are the general manager, you get these guys motivated. You want them to be here. Sam Reinhart didn't want to be here, which, by the way, why would he? I mean, you got guys in the fucking media getting on him for not back checking or something. The same guy who goes out and scores fucking 57 goals with Florida and wins a Stanley Cup. Jack Eichel, you decide you're not going to let him treat his injury the way he wants to treat it. We all know how that ends up. You get my point, though, man. These two guys were here. They were fixtures. One of them you fucking literally tanked for. You can argue you tanked for both of them. Okay. And you have them both. You got this talent. You've seen what they're doing now with other teams, hoisting cups literally with other teams. You have these guys and you can't convince them that you want them to buy in and be here. Before we talk about anything else with Kevin Adams, do you agree that being a salesperson and these guys wanting out to some extension, at least that is on you as the person who's running this franchise, that you're in charge as the GM?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been saying that since his whole line of we want players who want to be here. No, you got to convince the players why they want to be here. Not, hey, Alex Tuck grew up here. He wants to be here because it's his hometown team. No, No, you want to convince the player, convince Sam Reinhart why this is the best place for him. And thank God he got out, because I love Sam Reinhart when he was here. He was the perfect player for the role he was in here, and he thrives in Florida. Like, thank God he's out. Thank God Jack Eichel's out. Ryan O'Reilly, who literally said, I've lost the love for hockey playing here. Like, your job as general manager is to build the best product on the ice and convince players who might have no trade clauses. And I get, like, trying to convince them to come to Buffalo right now, impossible. I get that. But not every player has a no trade clause. Like, there are players that you can bring here on 1-year deals. Like, I will give credit to who I want to give credit to, and I wish I could name him, but they pressed him at his press conference, and he said, "Hey, I don't want to bring in a long-term contract here to jeopardize our future success." And the one reporter who I wish I could name him, maybe you know offhand, they went, "Why can't you bring in a 1-year player like you did with Jason Zucker? Is there a player out there that you can bring in for the 1-year deal? Like, we're not talking about future players and long-term contract. Is there a player right now?" And they pressed him on it. And that's what I kept wondering, like, why is nobody asking him this? And they finally did. And he didn't really have an answer for it. And that's when the palm trees comment came out, and to taxes in New York. And, like, no, your goal is to convince players why Buffalo is the best place for your career and why you can take the next step here. And he fails to do it over and over. And he just relies on the same comment of, we want players who want to be here. And guess what? The longer you lose, the list is going to dwindle and dwindle. And the players that you brought in here are going to want out faster and faster.
Who the fuck wants to be here right now? I mean, let's just be honest. If you're a hockey player, why would you want to be here? I'll give you 2 reasons. Number one, nobody else wants you. So you're either going to go to Buffalo or you ain't playing in the NHL. Or 2, you're going to get a lot bigger contract than you would anywhere else. AKA Jason Zucker has been, by the way, a really good signing, which just means he can't wait to get the fuck out of here as soon as he possibly can. But that aside, that's why. And by the way, to answer your question, was Joe Yerdon, who kind of pressed him a little bit. And then he ended up talking about the palm trees. In fact, Joe was just on the show talking about that last week. So sure, look, man, not being able to get 2 guys who are literally franchise players in Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart, and you're seeing them when so many players just go on to greener pastures. At some point, you got to say, we are the problem. Jack Eichel's attitude might not have been the greatest, but it wasn't the problem. Sam Reinhart's back checking, which he got called out for constantly by fucking media people here, he's not the problem. Okay, this was the problem here, and it's proof. You go look at the haul that they got. Okay, take those 2 guys. I think I'm right. I might be wrong. Correct me if you know offhand, but I know that they got Tuck, Krebs, and Oslin, I think, is who they ended up getting for Jack Eichel. I'm pretty sure that's how
it was the Ryan Johnson draft pick as well.
Okay, well, you can throw him in there. I don't give a shit. Throw him in there too. Okay, and then with Reinhardt, I know you got Levi and a first-round pick, which was Kulik. All right, so you got Tuck, Krebs, Oslin, Johnson, whatever, Levi, Kulik for fucking Sam Reinhart and Jack Eichel. If you had a chance right now and those guys were interested in being on your team because you had a real GM and a real team, would you make that trade? Would you keep Jack or Sam? No, that's a rhetorical fucking question, PK. Yeah. You're my guy.
I was wondering if you really wanted me to answer that. I was like, no.
No. That's just part of it. Okay, so that's what part of like being a GM to me is convincing great players that you already had to buy in, and he could not do that. And now you hear him speak, and you fucking know why. It's pretty obvious. And then you pick guys, and you just give these long-term contracts. Then even if you want to trade them, it makes it a lot harder. But anyway, you're making these your core players. You're spending good money on guys like Cousins and Power and Samuelson. I still laugh at the thought that Samuelson got signed to a 7-year contract after playing literally 55 games. It's just crazy. Owen Power, number 1 overall pick. He's still a good player. But did you have to give him a 7-8 year contract, whatever? Cousins has just been, at least so far, a disaster. But come on, man, you're giving these guys big ass money. You're counting on guys like Paterka and Quinn to become like franchise altering forwards, and they're just not. It just tells me he's clueless. Not compared to you and I. Kevin Adams is smarter than PK and Patrick Moran. All right, that's not what I'm saying. But you put him against 31 of his peers, and not so much anymore. 30 of his peers, whatever the hell league. We're talking about how many teams there are here in the league. And I just don't think he's respected. I do not think Kevin Adams is respected around the league. And if you're looking for why, look at the presser. You haven't been on the show since the presser, have you? No, because that was just real recent. Look no further than that. I thought that was disgraceful. I thought it was embarrassing. He was whining about trades. He was whining about people, the taxes and the palm trees and all the other shit that took on a life of its own. I guess end of the day, dude, what I'm saying is Kevin Adams has no business being a general manager. None.
Yeah, you said it off the start of the show. You have bold takes, and when you're wrong, you're willing to admit it. I'm the same way. I loved the long-term signings of these players on the reasons that this is what good franchises do. They invest young, they get the discounts, and they can build around that. The issue is he very much bet on the wrong horses here. He spent the money on the wrong players who I know we're going to get into that in a second on the players, but I don't understand how you can be that bad of a talent evaluator. And again, you can't blame me because I'm sitting here. I'm just a guy behind a microphone on a podcast. I don't do this for a living. I don't evaluate the talent for a living. That's your job. But I will say, I do like the idea behind it. I think it was just badly executed on the wrong players. But I do think that that's the right way to build a franchise.
Agreed.
Is investing in your young players with long-term deals on a discounted rate. But he put it on the wrong horses, man. It's screwed this franchise for years and years to come, because that's the biggest reason. Like before, you could tear it down to the studs and go back. You got long-term investments in these players that are just not working out, or not good enough to be cornerstone pieces for this franchise.
I think in large part of the reason why he invested early was because guys like Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart, your best players on your team, didn't want to be here. And
very true.
What better way to not do that? Even though Jack Eichel had a long-term contract with the Sabres, Sam never did. But, you lock these guys up, and before they get good enough and they want to get out, they're like, well, we got you, man. We got you for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, however long it may be. Change needed to come earlier. This season just completely got away from them. And to me, the pivotal point, when we look back at this year, no matter how things play out, which, by the way, we're recording this now. Who knows? Maybe everyone wakes up Thursday morning and Kevin Adams is the former GM of the team. Who the hell knows? I wouldn't count on that shit, though. But regardless, even if so, I think the damage is already done, at least certainly for this year. The change should have came after the Colorado disaster. When they blew that 4-0 lead, shit should have went down. And if it's not Kevin Adams getting fired, it's a couple guys going on waivers the next day. Something significant, not a Jack Quinn or Yoki Haru go to press box for a game or two kind of deal. Something significant should have went down at the very least. And by the way, that was only like 4. That would have been 3 or 4 games into what this losing streak's been. But at the very least, if not that, when they blew that 5-3 lead at home against Detroit too, something needed to happen earlier. And now you feel like, PK, the wheels are off, and no matter what they do tomorrow or the next day, there's nothing that they're going to do that's going to get them back on track for this season. Is this season completely lost you at this point?
Oh yeah. I mean, before Christmas, it's done again. But yeah, this has been part of the problem with Kevin Adams is he waits too long to do these type of moves. He waited too long to fire Ralph Kruger in that losing streak. He waited too long to make the change from Don Granato. He's waited too long to make moves. Even last year, man, they made a trade, and as minor as it was, they brought in Eric Robinson to try to do something. Nothing's been done. Absolutely nothing. I would kill for an Eric Robinson type of deal right now, because it means they're actually trying something. Like, I didn't think it could get worse than last year when they were adding him. And, if my wife hears this, she's going to kill me, but you could partially put this losing streak on her, because we were at the Colorado game, and after the second period, she was like, yeah, I'm freezing. Can we just go home? I was like, yeah, we'll stop, get a pizza, and go home. And on the ride home, my phone's just going off. It's 4-1. And it's 4-2, and they lose 5-4. And I went, this is your fault. This is all your fault. So all the Buffalo don't go attack my wife, but that started when
it's all right. It's mostly your fault. 80% your fault, 20% my fault. I was at Ebenezer Ale House with dinner with 2 friends, and we played. There was a trivia night going on, and it ended at the end of the first period actually, and they were up 4-0. Should have stayed at the bar. The good vibes were going. We left. And that's how things ended up falling apart. In all seriousness, though, you said it. It's over before Christmas. What a tale of two teams this year. You look at the Buffalo Bills, And the summer was like, well, they're not going to be the favorites. It's Miami, it's the Jets. It's going to be a dogfight in the AFC East for sure this year. That shit was almost over by election day and literally was over by Thanksgiving. The AFC East I'm talking about. That shit was done in a positive way. Now you look at the Sabres. I do remember bits and pieces, man. My memory blows, dude. Plus, I do 5 shows a week, in fairness to me. But you were on from preseason preview Sabres, and I remember you talking about meaningful games the last week or so of the season. I remember you saying that shit. And I agree with you at the time. It was a reasonable take to have. Well, here we are, man. We're a week before Christmas. And I don't know if they're 6, 8 points out, whatever. They may as well be 26 points out because they're done. Like, I'm ready to go start looking right now at the mock simulators. I know Jagans or something like that. I'll know soon enough. Next time I have you on the show, I'll be able to do you a top 10 prospects list. I promise you that, and have some insight on these guys because this season's fucking done. And we spent time, we're bashing the owner, I think rightfully so, the GM. The players deserve a lot of wrath as well. I mean, let's be fair here too. Putting all of this on a sorry owner and a GM who was just completely in over his head, who should be a public, talking head for this organization, not the guy who runs the goddamn hockey operations. I might need my inhaler before this is over, dude. I'm going off. I'm so angry right now, but letting these players off the hook too is not something that I'm willing to do because I'm going to tell you what, this roster, and we saw what we saw in Montreal and too many times this year. This is a soft, gutless, weak-willed core and a supporting cast because they go to Montreal. They know if they lose, they're dead smack in the bottom. They know their owner. I don't know if he was at the game. God forbid somebody, hustled and grinded to find out if Pegula was actually in the building in Montreal. Don't even know that. But regardless, his presence is around again. And no fight. They just folded like a tent. They fold like a tent whenever they have some adversity. And it's not even just that game. It's also their home games. I mean, look how bad this team has sucked over the past couple of years at home. They've had a losing home record every single year during Kevin Adams' run. And go back further. I'm still Kevin Adams, this era of Sabres hockey, except last year. They went 21-19-1. Yay, let's give them a trophy last year. But they have sucked at home. Are the players getting off too easy? Because you and I are going off on Adams and Pegula, and I'm sure a lot of other people are too. These players are I think they're getting off a little bit too easy. What do you think?
Oh, I agree. I mean, it's you can only put so much blame on the owner, the GM, and the head coach because they're still they put the players on the ice. They put the players in the positions they need to be in, but the players are the ones on the ice doing the work and, well, lack thereof, I should say. I mean, it still goes back to, and a lot of people out there say like you can't trade the whole team. That's why you fire the coach. You can't trade out 13 players. You can fire one coach, but it's pathetic. The effort on the ice, like when Zach Benson is your toughest player and the one that's actually shows some passion, like he's a 19-year-old kid. And I think it's because he hasn't been ingrained in this system of just losing and patheticness. I still go back to when they brought Bo Byram in here. And I'm watching that first power play with him and he's skating around the ice and everybody else is just standing there. And I know that a lot of that is due to the system of the power play, but it just shows like players around the NHL are playing a different game and a different sport than what the Buffalo Sabres are doing. And it's been that way for 14 years. And it's pathetic. There's no will in this team. It's the same team that got upset because the fans were yelling fire Don Granato last year. So they didn't want to wave to the crowd after a game. How soft can you be as a team and an organization that fans who paid money to come see you, who are upset about the product that they're seeing, boo and yell to fire the head coach because they're upset about what their eyes are viewing on the ice, that your feelings are so hurt that you can't go to the center ice and raise your stick? I mean, they wanted accountability. When they brought Lindy Ruff in, that was all the time, the same, use that definition all offseason. They wanted accountability in that locker room. Yeah. You got it. Guess what? You're not up to the task. You're soft mentally. You're soft on the ice and you're a soft hockey team. And we're stuck with this because the players that are built as the core are the soft ones. I mean, credit to Lindy Ruff. I think it was last Monday I was driving home and I listened to his one press conference and he said, hey, I talked to Tage and Dylan Cousins. If you're not ready to play this style of center ice, you'll go to the wing. And that was the next game. That was the most I've ever seen Tage Thompson play defense. And I'm not trying to bash him because he's probably one of the best players on the ice, hands down. He's one of the most skilled. But he's at no. He's not. I can't not fault him as well because that was the first time I've actually seen him move his feet on defense, go in and back check and use his long reach to get pucks. Like that was the first time it actually might have clicked in him. And then ever since then it's been downhill. But like that was the first time I actually heard Lindy Ruff call somebody out by name. And then the very next game, they actually go and do work that he needs to be done. It's just, it's so rare to see. Like my eyes shouldn't have drawn to him by seeing that because it should have just been like, okay, of course he's going to be doing that. But it was such a rare occurrence to see somebody change their style of hockey that it stood out to me.
Look, good points. I think for me, what has pushed me over the edge of going from frustration to flat out disdain or even hatred for this organization. And it's on a lot of different levels. In part, it's the owner. But again, I also know who the owner is. This is an owner who always has and will continue to put the football team first. He will spare no resource. I truly believe that for the Bills to win a Super Bowl. I do not buy that, and we've seen it on the hockey side. I almost have to accept that. I can only be angry at Kevin Adams to an extent because, like we talked about, he's just in over his head. He is not, or at least he should not have been, a goddamn general manager. He had no type of experience whatsoever to be a goddamn one of 30, 32 jobs in the world. This is where my level, though, has increased to again, utter loathing and disdain for this team are the players, because I think back to last summer. They missed the playoffs, locker room clean out, Granato gets fired, player after player after player after player. Fucking accountability. We need more of this. We need accountability in this locker room. They were pretty much saying, sometimes without saying, Granato didn't give us any accountability and do shit. Right? So they get rid of him and they bring in Lindy Ruff. And if there's one thing and one thing only that Lindy Ruff is going to bring to this organization, well, two things. He's bringing credibility and he's bringing accountability. Okay. And then this season has made me realize that I look at this roster and they are just a bunch of fucking excuse makers who begged for leadership. And when they got that leadership, they still don't respond anyway. I am sick and tired of hearing the same old shit from Alex Tuck, from Tage Thompson, from Rasmus Dahlin, the same guys in the locker room saying the same shit. And then we go out and we see pretty much the same pathetic, lethargic, non-physical, sometimes non-committal effort from this hockey team. It makes me sick at this point. And even when they do get some good additions, guys who are pretty good, Bowen, McLeod, you don't think they're going to sprint for the door the first opportunity that they get, or that Zucker who comes in a one-year deal and he's been really good. That dude ain't going to be in Buffalo well before the trade deadline. He's getting traded. It's just pathetic to hear them talk and preach about we need accountability. And then Mr. Accountability shows up and you still fucking are soft at your core. It's sickening. And that's when I realized this team is hopeless. Changing GMs ain't going to help them anytime soon.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's the same lines on repeat. It's like they have cue cards for the same thing. Like you could listen back 4 years ago and it's the same excuses. Hey, they just came out tougher. We're going to learn from this. And, we got outplayed and, it's nobody but on us. And we got to be better from this. And it's the same thing. How can you say the same things like you came out with no juice when, your owner was literally just in there giving you praise. And I'm not trying to give Terry Pegula any credit for doing this, but he went in there and said, hey guys, I believe in you. I know we're on a 10-game losing streak, but I believe that the answer is in here. And I think a lot of that is due to him not wanting to spend more money and go out and get more talent or fire the head coaches or fire the assistant coaches or GMs to save the money there. I fully believe that's the reason that behind this talk, but it's how do you not come out with any passion? You go down 20 seconds into the game and you're already losing. Like that's what doesn't make any sense. It's like they're not learning. And how many times can you say the same thing over and over and over until change actually happens in your game? It's either they're not doing it or are not skilled enough or just do not care. Like it could be a combination of all three where they just do not care and just do not have the passion for it. And they're just like so beaten down by losing it over and over and over, which I get that for some of these players that have been here for a long time now. But I mean, some of these new players, like, how do you not just shake Tage Thompson or shake Alex Tuck and go, like, what the hell are you doing? Like, it's the same shit from years and years and years. And it's just, I'm at a loss. Like, I can't listen to on our bingo board. It literally, one of the squares is that they got outplayed and I was hustled. And as soon as that's said, we're going to be able to check that off our bingo board. It's just, it's pathetic. Like, I can't do anything else.
Alex Tuck literally said it again after the Montreal game. You know, you talked about them scoring 20 seconds into the game. I was good with that because I actually considered that a test. I'm like, all right, your back's over against the wall. You have a bad play. You're down 1-0. The puck's in your net. It's one play. You're 20 seconds into a game. How are you going to respond? And they folded. I truly believe it. It's culture. This is a loser culture. This is a losing culture. And it is widespread, man. It's not one thing. It's not just the owner. It's not just the GM. It's a lot of the players as well. You combine that all, you put it in a big ball, and it rolls in and it won't stop rolling. And it's a culture. Because I think the culture of the fans at this point, and I pay a lot of attention. I'm on Twitter way too much, man. I got no life. All right. Well, I work from home, so I'm on Twitter all day long at my desk, or sometimes at night. I'm dicking around, getting ready for the next episode or whatever, and I spend a lot of time on social media. I spend more time during Sabre games checking out my Twitter than I do checking out the broadcast. I'm just telling you like it is, all right? The culture of this franchise with the fans is shot. The content creators with this team, the feel good, the culture, the vibes, it's ruined. And again, I got on fans, and I was wrong. Especially content creators, and I was wrong about that as well. Like, oh, you guys cover this team because you have to. This is no fun, blah, 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 this and that. And then I went as far to say that, and this is true in journalism. However, it's different when you're also a fan of the team that you cover. You and I are fans. I mean, we're content creators. We're objective. I might be going over the line, so maybe I'm not objective today. But you get what I'm saying, but you're a fan. If you're a journalist and you're not a fan, you don't give a shit. You're looking for stories, okay? And the general rule of thumb in journalism is if you're covering a team, if you're not going to be really good, you should be really bad because the stories, the interactions with people, it's better. Nobody wants to cover a team that's hovering around the 500 mark. No one wants to be a 7-9 team every year. You're not going to be 13-3. You're better off covering a team that's 3-13. Generally speaking, that's the rule. But when you're as bad for as long as the Sabres have been, you said this earlier in the show, you could just replay clips and shit from 3 years ago. Content creators are very frustrated and it's not fun. So I was wrong there. For me, today, this is therapeutic. But I can't imagine, PK, having you on, let's just say you and I did the show every day, or even just every week. If we had to do this every week, I would just be stressed out of my skull, man. And again, I got pushback from Jeremy White at WGR and Chad DeDominicis and Expected Hockey and a lot of these other guys. And they're right, man. No one wants to consume this shit every single day. And last point with fans, I think there's two types of fans right now. Well, mostly two types of fans at this point. You're either hate watching, saying they're going to lose and I get to sound off and go nuts, kind of like I've been doing this whole episode with every game, or you're following this team, you're supporting this team because you're scared. You're scared that if you stop caring, if you stop going to the games, if you stop buying the merchandise, if you stop watching the games, they're going to move. Terry Pegula is going to say, well, fuck this. I'm selling this team and let them relocate. Nobody cares anyway. I think a lot of people operate unfair. I almost, as crazy as this sounds, kind of treat it like religion. There's a lot of people out there that are, they believe in God. And there's a lot of people out there who, quite frankly, don't necessarily believe in God, but if they don't believe in God and they die and there is a God, they ain't going to heaven. So they spend their life saying, oh, I believe in God. You know what? You get what I'm saying there. I don't say that to be funny, but you kind of get what I'm saying there. fans are operating either out of hatred or fear because you can't be all in on a team like this right now, man.
Yeah, and
Ruin
I've
though.
said it for many, many years now that they're killing their next generation of fans because no kid growing up that's 5, 6, 7, 8 years old is going to
Ugh.
want to be fans of the Buffalo Sabres because they're going to go to the school and they're going to get made fun of. Why are you fans of the Buffalo Sabres? Like Vegas Golden Knights, all the production they do on the ice, why aren't you fans of them? Like they're actually winners. Kids want to follow teams that are good. And because you've been bad for as long as you have, there's a massive generation of fans that you just cannot have now because they're already diehard fans of other players. There's players that have Jack Eichel on their wall, not in a Sabres uniform, but in a Las Vegas Golden Knights uniform. Same with Sam Reinhart. There are fans out there that saw what he did last year, how fun he was on the ice. That is not in a Buffalo Sabres uniform. He's in a Florida Panthers uniform. You're missing out because your product just stinks. Like even we've said it for how many times on this show and on our show. Just be fun to watch. Even if you suck, just be fun to watch because then there's stuff to talk about. Like you mentioned about being content creators. Like we're making the bingo board because we can't find anything else and we don't want to just keep throwing crap at the wall and just repeat same stuff over and over. So we're trying to be a little bit creative, as stupid as the bingo board might be. But it's just when it's the same crap for the same 14 years and it's just a recycle of the same stuff, there's only so much you can do. And like I said, there's 14-year gap there of just fans that are gone. They're not going to be people that are in their 70s and 80s, 50 years from now that are going to talk about these times because they're just not going to be fans of the Buffalo Sabres. It's that simple. Like I said, if when it goes quiet, that's when you have to worry about it. When people are still mad and up in arms, then you still got people that care about your product. It's getting real quiet.
I feel sorry for the dedicated hockey content creator community. I don't feel sorry for the media who covers them. First of all, they're professionals. They're getting paid a decent living, at least in most cases. And again, they're not fans of the team, or at least they shouldn't be anyway. And they're just looking for stories. They really don't care if the Sabres win or if they lose. All right. But I do feel sorry for the true hockey content creators, not people like you and I. Like you're going to go on Buffalo Sports Collective. You're talking about the Sabres, but you're gonna feel good about talking about the Bandits and the
Thank
Bills.
God.
Exactly. I cannot wait to have a Bills Patriots preview on tomorrow's Talking Buffalo. I promise you that right now. So this is kind of like a one and done, at least for now, with this. But the guys who got to go on constantly and just regurgitate the same sentiments and hear the same shit from the fans, understandably so. The stress would weigh you down to the point that I don't know that I would be able to do it. I want to make sure I got that Deion Dawkins quote earlier because now I actually see it. It was about the Haley Seinfeld effect. And he said about Josh, he goes, there's something about he's having fun because everything around him is right. That was the key line. Everything around him is right. I feel like everything around the Sabres right now is wrong. And as we get ready to wind down here, what they should do is obvious. They should fire Kevin Adams. I mean, you and I know that. I think everybody knows that. I'm not sure that there's a Sabres fan out there outside of maybe Kevin Adams' family who thinks that Kevin Adams should be the general manager of this hockey team going forward. Does anything change? Confident in it, but he shouldn't be the general manager. It should have, or if you want to keep him as your talking mouthpiece, your daily phone call to Pegula, go get a hockey president of operations who ranks ahead of him. That's what they should do. Trades, blah, 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 blah. What are they going to do? I guess what I'm asking you a question here. We know what they should do. What do you expect them to do for what it's worth? And again, not everything needs to happen in 24 hours, but we did record late Wednesday. There was no waiver moves at all. I did expect one, potentially two. Still could be tomorrow, but as we record this, the Sabres have done nothing. What do you expect to come out of this? What do you expect to happen? How long can this go on for?
I'll be honest. I'm not sure that I can expect them to do anything. The biggest thing that I think they might do is send out a Yoki Haru because he's on a 1-year deal. I could see them doing that for, another, depth defenseman. And then you have Bryson in the lineup the whole time. I can see them making up a call up from Rochester, like a Rosine or a Ruzik, one of those type of moves. I can't see them firing Kevin Adams because one, as much as I agree with you that he should be fired because this is unacceptable. How many other GMs have this little success and keep their jobs for as long as he has? But I just fear that as long as Terry Pegula's hands are all over this, nothing's really going to get better. He needs to hire somebody or find somebody that knows about hockey that they can hire and go out and do a process to find a GM that knows what the hell they're talking about. Or like you said, president of hockey operations, hire them that knows what they're doing and be hands off. If you want to be this much hands on, you have to talk to the media more. And again, I already said that he doesn't need to talk to the media for me. As like maybe once every 6 months, I already said. But if you're going to be this hands on, you have to talk to the media. You have to be accountable. If you want your players to be accountable, you have to be accountable. It's just, I can't see anything really getting better until he's fully hands off and the right person is in the position. That's kind of what it was with the Buffalo Bills. They got Sean McDermott, then they got Brandon Beane. He got it right there. Buffalo Sabres, he has yet to get it right. And I think a lot of it falls on his shoulders because he's picking the wrong people and he's too involved in the process. So what they should do is find people that are qualified and are in the right position to be making these moves. But what they will do, it's Rochester call-ups and put a couple guys on waiver and maybe, I don't know. I can't see anything big happening even in the midst of this big losing streak. Friday is going to be real ugly, man. Friday is going to be so ugly in that arena.
You know, it's like, so they're playing, if you don't know out there, they're playing Toronto, and let's be fair, even when the Sabres are a really good team and that arena's banging, there's always a lot of Toronto fans. They come up, they get the tickets, they buy them up, they pay top dollar for them because it's still cheaper than going to a Leafs game in Toronto for them. 100%. But it is going to literally be a road game for the Sabres on Friday night. They score, they're going to get booed. It used to be like 50-50. There's going to be 85% Leafs fans in that arena on Friday. The craziest thing about this team right now is, you know, Terry did get it right with Sean McDermott. I think he got it right with Lindy Ruff, but he's just handcuffed him. I don't think he's getting any real opportunity between who his GM is, between the roster. Again, lacking in other areas of the organization. I just don't think Lindy Ruff is being dealt a fair hand. I don't think they're doing shit either. I mean, I could see Yoki Harrow actually hitting waivers. Maybe Kubel has been a bad signing for them, by the way. I mean, maybe he hits waivers as well. Or maybe that's a message thing. Tyson Kozak, maybe he comes up. I don't know. He looked pretty good last time and he sent him right back down. I get why. Just saying. It's just, I feel hopeless right now when it comes to this hockey team. I'm willing to do almost anything. I don't know how far it's got to get. I'm looking at their schedule right now. We talked about this. So they're at 11. They play Toronto. They're at, you know what? They are at Toronto, but it's in Buffalo. Let's just say that on Friday. Then they're back to back. They're at Boston. They'd be lucky to get that. Then they're at the Islanders. We talked Friday, December 27th. They're at home against Chicago. Bro, if they lose that game, then they're at St. Louis, at Dallas, at Colorado, which would tie the 18-game losing streak. And ironically, record-breaking 19 could come at Vegas and Jack Eichel. I'm almost there. I'm almost there, PK. In my life, I've only rooted against the Sabres twice. I was part of the pro tank team at the time. In hindsight, especially the way it played out with Jack, I wish if I had a do-over, I would not have tried to do that. Okay. But I did. And I'm almost at the point now where I want them to lose again. But this time it's not because there's a prospect. I'm not trying to get Connor McGovern Connor McDavid. I mean, Connor McGovern. I wish Connor McGovern did play for the Sabres right now. Maybe bring some fucking toughness to this team. But it's not about kind of McDavid or Eichel. I need this team to bottom out and find out if Terry truly cares. If he's willing to get a president of operations or a GM, a real GM, you know, and make some major moves and spend to the cap and do what they got to do to give this team an opportunity to be great again or even good again. I would take that at this point. But I feel like they need to lose. They need to bottom out. They need to know, Terry needs to know, wake up one day and say, well, this ain't it. This roster's never going to be good enough. I got a coach. He can't get shit out of him. I got a GM who doesn't know what he's doing. He's my buddy. I can boss him around. He's a yes guy, but I got to move on from him. So I'm at the point, like when they play Toronto, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to root for the Maple Leafs on Friday. Are you there yet?
I was part of the tank thing too. If do over, I would still probably do it. I just would have a different philosophy and a different GM who knew how to build around those players. That was the major issue, is they didn't build around them the right way.
Yeah.
I think the tank worked. It's just the tank worked for what the job was, to get those star players. They just didn't do the second half of the job, which was to build around those star players. But yeah, I just have one request for all Toronto Maple Leafs fans that are going to be at KeyBank Center. If you have any like Hawaiian shirts or palm tree shirts or whatever you got, please bring it, because I did hear the rumor that they're being told to not allow those in the arena. I don't care. Bring them in. I said it on our show not that long ago. There was this rumor started that like they wanted to pick a game where everybody that went to it wore palm trees on their shirts. Just all Toronto fans, just wear palm trees. Just troll the hell out of this organization, because as much as you think it can't get worse, the Buffalo Sabres find a way to dig it even deeper. So if you have 19,000 Toronto Maple Leafs fans in there, and like, I don't know, 10,000 of them are wearing palm tree shirts, that's going to make for excellent TV, because they're not even going to be able to pan around the arena, show the Toronto Maple Leafs fans, because then you're going to get all the palm trees and it's going to drive Terry Pegula absolutely nuts.
I would love to see that. And I'll take it one step further here as we end this. If you are a Sabres fan and you're going there, a tradition is old as time, not just with the Sabres, but any team in any sport, is when you're really shitty and you're bad, the fans resort to wearing paper bags over their head. I think, to me, that is even, the palm trees gets all the attention, understandably so. But what I've been seeing more and more at Sabre games on TV and photos on Twitter and Facebook and stuff are fans wearing paper bags over their head. To me, that's even more embarrassing. If I'm the owner, I'm the GM, and I'm seeing that. That means I'm at your game, but I don't want nobody to know. That's what that symbolizes. Like, I'm embarrassed to let my family and my friends know that I am watching your fucking team play. To me, that is the ultimate embarrassment. So if you're not wearing a palm tree shirt or hoodie or whatever,
do both.
Yeah, put a paper bag over your head. People are like, well, we should protest, not go to the games. That ain't gonna, who gives a shit? Okay, nobody gives a shit. Someone's gonna buy your ticket or whatever. Who gives a shit? But let Terry Pegula or somebody watch on TV you wearing a paper bag over your head. To me, that's just like the ultimate embarrassment. I might, if I watch this game on Friday, I'm gonna have a paper bag over my head in my house watching the game. But here's a newsflash: I'm not watching the game on Friday because Notre Dame is playing college football playoff, Indiana, 8:00. I will be piped in and excited for that. Not the Sabres. We just went an hour and 7 minutes talking Sabres, and we never did get to the Bills or UB. So if you did take a chance early in the episode that you'd get some Bills talk, sorry, buddy. Sorry. Come back tomorrow, because this whole episode will be dedicated to the Bills on.
The only thing I got left is somebody put on X yesterday that they miss what the Sabres games and the arena used to sound like. Go to a Buffalo Bandits game. It's the vibe there is nearly identical to what it was back when the Sabres were good. You get a good product, you get players that actually care, and it's if you're jumping ship on the Buffalo Sabres, if you're a Sabres fan and you made it this far, this is a public address announcement. There's room for you in Banditland to go watch a good product. They're 2-0. They're in prime season. They're in mid-season form right now, winning 15-7 and 18-7. They're ready to go for three-peat.
That's awesome.
Just leave the Sabres behind. Join Buffalo Bandit in Banditland, and you will not miss the Buffalo Sabres. It's so much more pleasurable talking them than Buffalo Sabres.
And when you do leave Saberland, or they call it Saberhood, isn't Saberhood the Twitter hashtag or whatever the fuck?
Another stupid thing.
Yeah, well, when you go to jump off and get onto the Bandits, make sure that you check out the Buffalo Sports Collective. You guys do a tremendous job. Like I said, covering the Sabres and the Bills, but especially the Bandits, just because it's so much more unique in relation to this market. Thanks for coming on. You typically are my level-headed guest. Like, you're the guy where if I get a little out of control, you'll kind of reel me back in a little bit, little more centerness to you, a little more balance. But yeah, you gotta double down, man. This was a double or nothing Sabres get after them episode. They deserve it though, man. This team absolutely deserves what they got from us anyway today. Thanks for joining me, bud.
No problem. Talk to you soon.
All right, guys, and I will be back with a Friday episode. Bills Patriots preview, keys to the Bills victory, which, by the way, spoiler alert, it's just don't gag at home against an inferior team. 3 bold predictions, plenty more coming up on the show tomorrow.